Are you planning for retirement? Listen, I don't care if you're just near retirement or you got a number of years towards retirement. You're going to want to pay attention today, because today we're talking about the three main things that you need to have working for you as you approach that day. So stay tuned.
Retiring Well, helping you make smart decisions with your money so you can live a better life. Today is the day you can take back control of your money. Retiring Well, where we believe your best is yet to come.
Okay, welcome back. Listen, today we're talking about the three main things you need to be working towards as you get to retirement. And again, I don't care if you got 30 years and you're just now planning. What are those things that I need to be working on today as I get towards that day when I hopefully maybe want to retire? But if I'm near retirement, maybe I'm only 5 years away. This is a good checks and balance to be able to look at and say, okay, do I have all the necessary things in place that I want as I'm approaching that day? Okay, so today I'm excited about this because this is what it's all about. All right, so what I want you to do, number one, is I want you to think about retirement. Visualize what that looks like, okay? Think of the lifestyle that you're living, or the desired lifestyle that you want to live when you get to retirement. So think about that. All right, take a second and just go, okay, what does that look like? And then what I want you to do is try to put a dollar figure around that as to what kind of money is it going to take for me to live that lifestyle. Now it's important because I want you to take that and kind of imagine, okay, is that a monthly amount? But I want you, if it's a monthly amount, then just take that times 12. But what we want to do is try to get an idea what that's going to look like as an annual income. All right, I've got the lifestyle I want to live. Now I'm kind of trying to equate as what I think what that equates to as a yearly or annual income. Okay, this is important. Now, I told you the three main things I want to be working towards retirement is when I get there, when I'm looking at that lifestyle, I'm looking at that income, does it include any debt? Of course not. Most of us would agree that when we're in retirement, isn't it desirable that maybe we don't have any debt? If I've got a house and I've got a mortgage, do I want to still be paying on that mortgage when I'm in retirement? If I've got credit cards, is that something I'm still going to want to be paying on or trying to pay off when I'm in retirement? How about those vehicle loans? Maybe it's some of those recreational vehicles that we have. Is that stuff I still want to be paying down when I'm in retirement? No. Most of us, if we visualize retirement, we're looking at a debt-free environment, are we not? So the number one thing that you want to be working towards as you get to retirement is no debt. All right, let's try to work that out. Now, if I'm 30 years away from retirement and I've got a 30-year mortgage that I just took out, am I as worried? Most likely not, because if I just continue to make those payments over the next 30 years, as I approach retirement, that's going to be paid off. But what if I'm somebody that's 10 years away from retirement and I've still got 15 years left on my mortgage? Think about that. What am I going to want to do? What am I going to want to put in place to try to get that mortgage maybe paid off a little bit earlier? Maybe it's making an extra payment, 2 payments a year to make sure that's bought down in the next 10 years. If I'm sitting on some credit cards or any other kind of debt and maybe I'm 5 years away from retirement, then why don't I put a plan into place to try to get those paid off in the next 5 years? Listen, I'm a SmartVestor Pro with Dave Ramsey, and one of the big things that Dave Ramsey tries to put forth as he's trying to help people move towards retirement is no debt. Now, I love the way he approaches this. He uses what he calls a snowball approach. Take your smaller debt, pay that off first, then take those payments you were using towards that debt and others and go to the next one. You know, and by doing this, you know, trying to tackle one by one, you can get to a place where you can literally get to the place where all you're doing is working maybe off your mortgage and then taking all those payments you're applying to that small debt towards that debt and getting that paid off early. But as you approach, or as you near retirement, or as you're thinking or planning for retirement, think of not having any debt. That has to be number one. Before you even think about saving or before you think about doing anything else, you better have a plan in place for that. Now, I'll get asked a lot of times, Larry, should I save or should I pay off the debt? Just depends. You know, if I've got a track record, I already have debt paid off, then I can save. All right, but number one, no debt. Now, in the next segment, I'm going to talk to you about the second thing you need to have be working for you towards retirement. So stay tuned.
Today's retirement challenges can be mastered. Knowledge is power because you can confidently plan ahead and make educated financial decisions for a successful and comfortable retirement. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning, serving all of northern Michigan with offices in Traverse City, Cadillac, Petoskey, and Gaylord. And we invite you to an informative and exciting live event with a complimentary gourmet dinner. You'll learn highlights of the new Tax Reform Act, the difference between the fiduciary and suitability standard of care, how an IRA gets taxed to a surviving spouse, how two similar portfolios can end up with two drastically different results, what a bull market is and how long it can last, and much more. Call 888-608-5825 to register and choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, June 4th at Big Buck Brewery in Gaylord. Wednesday, June 5th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City. Tuesday, June 11th at the Evergreen Resort in Cadillac. Or Thursday, June 13th at Stafford's Bayview Inn in Petoskey. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow, but seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important live event. Educated financial decisions. Call 888-608-5825 today.
Are you an employee who's participating in a 401k plan? Are you aware that in some cases you might be able to roll out of the plan even though you are still working? Are you tired of the choices you have and possibly the lack of professional help in getting you to your retirement goals? If you're looking for an alternative approach to help you protect your hard-earned retirement savings, then we might be able to help. You may be entitled to an in-service rollover of your 401k plan. A rollover to a self-directed IRA may be an appropriate solution for you. Contact us at Centennial Wealth Advisory today. Take control of your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory can help. Please call the number on your screen.
Hi, welcome back. Listen, today, again, we're talking about the three things you need to know as you're working towards retirement. In the first segment, I talked about, no debt. Again, visualize yourself in retirement. Are you going to be still paying on the mortgage? Are you still going to be paying off credit cards, trying to pay the vehicles off? Absolutely not. That's the first thing you want to put into place, or have a plan for as you work towards retirement. All right, but what's the second thing? The second thing is being able to ascertain, am I going to have any guaranteed income that I can count on? All right. Now, if I'm unfortunate enough to have not worked, let's put it that way, for companies that don't have pension plans, then that's going to be a little tough, because if I don't have a company pension, then where's that guaranteed income going to come from? Well, one place it could very well be is rentals. Maybe I'm that person that acquired some rental property and I'm renting those properties out. They're giving me some income every month. Now, is it guaranteed? I guess there's always a case that people might not pay their rent. But for all practical purposes, let's say you got good renters and they're making their rent payments. That's a source of income that I can count on pretty regularly, right? I may not have a company pension, but I have that. Now, rental income's a great asset to have, or a great income source when you're in retirement, because it's also inflationary. You know, I can raise rents as time goes on, so I can keep that rent or that income up with inflation. But let's say I'm that person that doesn't have a pension. I don't have rentals. I don't have that to count on. I may not have won the lottery and have that kind of come in. Where am I going to get that income from? Well, the one source most of us have is Social Security. Now, as soon as I mention that, a lot of you, if you're a younger taxpayer, you're thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to count on that. If I'm an older taxpayer, I'm thinking, boy, I sure hope I can, because that's, you know, I didn't have a company pension. I'm counting on that. I will dare say that that was a promise the government made to us when we put into the system, that we were going to get that back out. Too many people are counting on that for their retirement. So I'll dare say it, I wouldn't want to be the politician that didn't see Social Security be there for a lot of people. I think recent statistics show that 61% of the boomers don't have pension income. They have Social Security and very little in savings. So too many people are counting on this. I dare say that it's most likely, if politicians are wise, they're going to make sure it's there. Now, for the younger taxpayers, you know, if I'm looking forward, you know, there's going to have to be a lot of fixes to Social Security for it to be there. You know, I would dare say that I would try to build some other sources of income, you know, maybe concentrate a little bit more on my savings, because one of the probably the better fixes they're going to have with Social Security is actually raising the age in which you qualify for it, or when you can take it. When Social Security first came out and people were taking Social Security, they were maybe pulling it for another, you know, 4 or 5 years. Today, people are pulling it for 20, 30, 40 years. So, you know, that's probably the thing that's kind of hurting the system, is because you got too many people that are living longer. That's a good thing, but they're drawing the Social Security for a lot longer, and there's not enough taxpayers to fund that. So if I'm somebody that's close to retirement and I've been paying into that system, I dare say that it's going to be there for you, right? If I'm a younger taxpayer, maybe just count on the fact that I'm not going to get it as early as I thought. I'm going to have to plan on the fact that maybe I'm going to live a little longer and want to have some other things in place. All right. So I might not have a pension, I might not have rental income, but I have Social Security. Now, I've done a whole show before just on Social Security alone. You know, when to take it. You can take it at age 62, you can take it early, or you can wait all the way to age 70. And the benefit from 62 to age 70 is almost double. So if that's all I got to count on is Social Security, maximizing that is going to be very, very important. Now, at Centennial Wealth, we have the ability with software and the like to basically take your Social Security benefit and help you optimize it in any income plan. So I encourage you, if you're somebody that wants to see or how to maximize that as you're getting close to retirement, give us a call, because we gladly go through that with you. Now, stay tuned, because in the next segment, I'm going to pull this all together for you, so stay tuned.
Today's retirement challenges can be mastered. Knowledge is power, because you can confidently plan ahead and make educated financial decisions for a successful and comfortable retirement. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning, serving all of northern Michigan with offices in Traverse City, Cadillac, Petoskey, and Gaylord. And we invite you to an informative and exciting live event with a complimentary gourmet dinner. You'll learn highlights of the new Tax Reform Act, the difference between the fiduciary and suitability standard of care, how an IRA gets taxed to a surviving spouse, how two similar portfolios can end up with two drastically different results, what a bull market is and how long it can last, and much more. Call 888-608-5825 to register and choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, June 4th at Big Buck Brewery in Gaylord. Wednesday, June 5th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City. Tuesday, June 11th at the Evergreen Resort in Cadillac. Or Thursday, June 13th at Stafford's Bayview Inn in Petoskey. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow, but seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important live event. Educated Financial Decisions. Call 888-608-5825 today.
Hi, welcome back. Listen, today we're talking about the three main things you want to have working for you towards retirement. Okay, so here it is. This is retirement. Well, in the first segment, we talked about no debt. Right? I mean, imagine yourself. I asked you to visualize yourself in retirement. Do you want to have any debt that you're trying to pay off? Do you still want to have a mortgage? Absolutely not. So, whether we got 30 years or 2 years towards retirement, this is something we want to have out of the way. Okay? The second thing, and we talked about this in the second segment, is what's the guaranteed income I can count on? Whether that be Social Security, whether that be a pension, if I'm lucky enough to have a pension, right? Maybe it's rental income, right? Some assets I build up or some housing that's going to pay me some, rent every month that I can count on. But what I want to know, I want to have no debt. I want to know what my guaranteed income I'm working towards is. And then the third thing what we want to have is savings. All right, what's that look like? Whether that's our 401k plan I'm participating in at work, whether that's IRAs I'm putting into, Roth IRAs, maybe it's none of that. Maybe it's just pure after-tax savings. But I'm going to look at all those as one thing because these are all something else that's going to provide me an income in retirement and provide for all the things that I want to do in retirement. So, how much does this need to be? Tends to be the big question, right? If I'm close to retirement, the thing I'm asking myself is, do I have enough as I'm rapidly approaching that day? If I'm a younger taxpayer and I've got a lot of years on my hands and I'm starting to think about possibly saving money for retirement, I'm asking myself, how much do I need to save? Right? So let me give you kind of a 10,000-foot view of maybe how to approach this that could be helpful. First of all, I got to know what I need or want in retirement. What's that number? Again, visualize yourself in retirement, look in today's dollars terms and say, what kind of an income style or lifestyle do I want, and what's the income I'm going to need to make that lifestyle happen? Okay, so that's that. I'm going to have to start with that. What is that number? And maybe make that a yearly amount. Next thing I want to know is, what can I count on that's guaranteed? How well have I done here in this leg? What do I have that I can count on? If I'm not working for a company that has a pension plan, then most likely I'm going to have to find some other guaranteed sources. Well, one we don't think about a lot is Social Security, right? It's something that we've been putting into, some of us that have been lived long enough, putting into for a lot of years. For you younger taxpayers, you're just starting. But that is one source of guaranteed income. And as we talked about in the second segment, can we count on it? I think we can. It's a promise the government has made with us that as we put in, it was going to provide for us later on. So, and then again, whether that be rental income. But I want to know what that is. So if I know what I need or want, and I know what I can count on coming in, and let's equate that in a yearly amount, then the difference, what's that difference? Now, I can tell you as a general rule, we use what we call the 4 or 5% rule, but if you have a certain amount of savings, you should be able to pull maybe 4 or 5% from that savings account for income. Okay, but let's just use 5% for all practical purposes. Well, you take that, you take 100 divided by that 5, and that gives you a multiple of 20. So if I take that difference, the amount I need in retirement, take it times 20, that's going to give me the amount of savings I'm going to need at retirement. All right. Now, if I wanted that to be 4% for income, then I'm going to take 100 divided by 4. That's going to tell me times 25. So figure out the difference. But in this case, 5%, take it times 20, and that tells me how much I'm going to have in savings. So let's just take that. I've got, let's say I need 60,000 is what I want for income. Let's say I can count on 30,000 being there for guaranteed income. So I need 30. Take that times 20, that tells me I'm going to need about $600,000 in savings. Now folks, if I'm close to being retired, then that's probably a good number to work with. But if I'm 30 years away from retirement, then one thing I'm going to have to account for is that's just in today's dollars, right? By the time I get to retirement, that's going to have to be a little bit more with inflation. But hopefully this kind of gives you an idea, what you need to be working for towards retirement. Thank you for joining us. If this is something that you want to go through, if you want what's called a detailed income plan and really want to answer these questions for yourself, then I encourage you to give us a call.
Today's retirement challenges can be mastered. Knowledge is power because you can confidently plan ahead and make educated financial decisions for a successful and comfortable retirement. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning, serving all of northern Michigan with offices in Traverse City, Cadillac, Petoskey, and Gaylord. And we invite you to an informative and exciting live event with a complimentary gourmet dinner. You'll learn highlights of the new Tax Reform Act, the difference between the fiduciary and suitability standard of care, how an IRA gets taxed to a surviving spouse, how two similar portfolios can end up with two drastically different results, what a bull market is and how long it can last, and much more. Call 888-608-5825 to register and choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, June 4th at Big Buck Brewery in Gaylord. Wednesday, June 5th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City. Tuesday, June 11th at the Evergreen Resort in Cadillac. Or Thursday, June 13th at Stafford's Bayview Inn in Petoskey. The live event starts at 6:30 p.m. and is free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow, but seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important live event. Educated financial decisions. Call 888-608-5825 today.
Listen, if you were diagnosed with a life-threatening illness and the doctor was prescribing a life-saving procedure, wouldn't you get a second opinion? Sure you would. Well, how much more so for your retirement savings, which you've worked so hard for? Listen, we've watched the market drop to half its value now the last couple decades. We're now entering a rising interest rate market, which is going to bring downward pressure on bonds. Where do you go? Listen, with these new market realities, this is a time when times are good, when the outlook is good in the short run, to go out, get a second opinion, and make sure you're positioned properly for any market. I encourage you, give us a call. We can take a look at what you have, we can see whether you're positioned properly, and make recommendations accordingly. So give us a call.
Welcome back to Retiring Well, here with John Torbett, Larry Flynn, financial advisor, senior partners of Centennial Wealth Advisory. And Larry, you've been talking a lot about sort of those different ideas of leading up to retirement and helping people accomplish those goals and what they should be doing.
Yeah, John, I asked him to visualize retirement. And I said, what do you want in place? And I said, the most obvious one you want to start with is let's not have any debt, right?
Sure.
I don't want to be paying a mortgage off still when I'm in retirement. So I said, imagine that. Imagine having no debt. I said, talk to them about those other guaranteed income accounts like pensions, maybe rental income. A lot of people don't have those, but they do have Social Security.
Sure. Okay.
Right?
Yep.
So, how do we maximize that? Because if that's the only source of guaranteed income we're going to have, we want to grow that, right?
Right.
And I said, then the rest of it's got to come from the savings. So,
Sure.
what are we doing to grow that in the meantime?
Right, and that's where a lot of times people are always trying to find out what is that magic number that I've got to have X amount saved, and it doesn't necessarily come to that number. It's more, what's your cash flow look like? What's your income versus expenses? And then we can figure out, okay, here's what you should have saved, right?
Isn't that funny? I've had, and that's very true. I've had people that all they had was Social Security, but they lived so frugal
Sure.
that that was more than enough.
Right.
They didn't have to touch their savings. You got others, their lifestyle may be a little bit more.
Well, that's what I think of meeting with some folks a couple years back, and they had done a great job saving. They had a significant amount of assets, but then when we went through that exercise to see, okay, what's your income, but then what are your expenses? And those expenses were a bit higher, and so then I was trying to look through it, and I said, yeah, unfortunately, you're not prepared to retire because ultimately the amount of income that you want to generate, you don't have enough saved, even though they had saved a significant amount. So
Yeah, and that's a hard conversation to have,
Right.
but one that's necessary. More times than not, we'll have people, don't you agree? They're a couple years away from retiring.
Yeah.
They want to retire, but they're afraid to pay the trigger, pull the trigger,
Sure.
right? So they want to know, okay, how's this going to work? Do I have enough? Is it all, is it all there? And then sometimes we have to share with them, I don't think you're there. Here's what we need to do to get there.
And then we've got on the other end, though, where I've met with some clients recently where I was running through all those numbers that we were talking about and basically showing, hey, you're in a great position. It's one of those where you're continuing to work just because you like to work, not because you have to work. And they're in a spot where they're saying, I just feel more comfortable knowing that I've got that paycheck, but that's where we come in to help you with when it comes to retirement accounts and, okay, how can you structure an income stream from that savings that you've worked so hard to accumulate over the years?
Yeah, I was sharing a story of somebody who had, they were 7 years away from retirement, and they still had maybe 15 years left on the mortgage, right?
Okay.
So I said, again, getting back to that visualizing, what do you want retirement to look like? Yeah, we don't want to have any debt. We don't want to be paying that. So, all right, what do we got to put in place between now and then to get that mortgage paid off? And really, it came down to, I think, making just a couple extra payments a year, which they could do.
Right.
And then that made them very happy that they had that plan in place.
Yeah, and I think of another scenario where now these folks are already in retirement, but they had a dream of owning a condo down in Florida. They apparently didn't enjoy these beautiful northern Michigan winters, and so I know. So they wanted to spend a few months away, and so they found a property that they loved, and they said, okay, John, I need $150,000. Well, here was the case. They were all in IRA money and hadn't really considered the tax consequences of that. So we were able to help work through and figure out a way where they could, because they had their home here in Michigan paid off, use a home equity line of credit to buy that, and ultimately use money out of their IRAs over a number of years to help get that home equity line paid off, so then they could ultimately have the properties free and clear. But
John, I'm glad you brought that up because, I shared with everybody in the first few segments about this third bucket, the savings that they want to have to supplement Social Security, pension, or whatever. And I said, but that bucket, we don't talk, what are the tax aspects of that bucket? We probably need to be having some after-tax dollars saved because if it's all in IRAs, that makes our income planning a little bit hard.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for tuning in to Retiring Well. And as Larry and I are talking through some of these items, if there's certain things that catch your attention, you're welcome to give a call to the number on the screen. Thanks again.